All right, for this emulation, we're going to look at the shaft feature, the groove feature, and the hole feature. And there are multiple different ways that you could attack this problem using some other features that we'll look at later in the class. So for now, what I'm going to do is create a half profile of the outer shape. So that's going to be 50 height, and then a radius value of 50 as well. And so with this, when we do the shaft feature, it'll rotate around the 50 to make it the total of 100. Next, I'm going to add a sketch fillet to the right-hand side. That is 5 millimeters. And then using this profile, we will exit the sketch. Select the shaft tool and rotate it around the vertical axis. Next, we're going to create the center hub. So we'll enter into sketch mode on the same plane, that front plane. Could use the side plane, doesn't really matter, as long as it's in the same rotation around the vertical axis orientation. And here we're going to have a little bit more of a complicated sketch so we can get that fillet involved without using the fillet feature. We'll start with the profile tool and sketch out the vertical height, the width, and go back up partial to the height and then turn that into a tangent end arc so that we can slope that over to, or curve it over rather, to the top edge. Complete the profile and then simply add in the constraints. So you want to make sure you have vertical and horizontal constraints, that the top is coincident to that top edge, and then add in the radius or diameter value for the arc. For some reason, it was giving me a little bit of trouble adding the constraint for the arc, so I had to do all of the straight lines first, and then it allowed me to do the diameter value. So just, if you get stuck, try a different way. There's usually 2 or 3 different ways to constrain an object that are roughly equivalent. Finally, the last thing I needed to do was add a tangency relationship between the top and the arc to ensure that it's isoconstrained. From there, I'm going to exit the sketch and use the groove feature in order to cut away that profile of the shape, using the vertical axis as my axis of revolution. From there, I'm going to add the 3 holes. Now, ideally, once you learn all of the other features, we'll be able to make 1 hole and then duplicate it using some of the transformation features. But for this one, let's just practice making each hole separately. So first I'm going to start by adding a hole to that top surface and then editing the positioning sketch, putting it on a 30mm radius circle, 60 in diameter. And notice that when you're in the positioning sketch, your other sketch features that you're adding come up as construction elements by default. That's because the only portion of your object that is part of the whole sketch is that point where it's going to be the center point of your hole. So here I'm going to make it coincident to the vertical axis and the 30 radius circle. And then I'm going to exit the sketch, continue through with creating the hole, and then start a second one. So again, same size, different position. I'm going to start with that construction circle. Constrain it. Add a line segment from the center point to the 30 line segment. And then set the angle dimension between that to be 30. From there, I can place the center point of my hole coincident to the reference circle and reference line both. Sometimes you can get lucky when you drop it and you get the alignment just right, it'll form those connections for you. Wasn't so lucky this time, so I have to do them separately. And we're going to finish off completing that hole and move straight into our third one. Same size, different position. Again, on the same 30 radius circle construction element. Using a line segment to connect the center point to the 30 radius. And then using an angle constraint from the horizontal axis to place that position for the intersection. Then I'm going to take my center point, drag it to the intersection between the line segment and the 30 radius circle. And it looked like it grabbed those connections, so made them coincident automatically there. That was a great little shortcut. So here we can exit the sketch, finish out our feature, and that completes our object.